Okay. Where to begin with this hot trash? I don't even know. Not this. Can I just mount you guys here on this pole? That would be pretty sweet if it would do that, wouldn't it? Oop. Figure it out, Joe. Figure it out. Woo! I swear this was a good idea. We're gonna get there. Okay, wrap that around there. We got one of these stupid jobby things, so it's doing some questionable stuff. Oh, ooh, look at that, and it spins now. Heck yeah. Okay. So let's see if I'll get you over here, so that way you only see me and what's going on. Okay, that's gonna work. Yeah, I said I always don't want it to inconvenience my coworkers. They're not here to be on film. They're here to work and make a living. So I have to respect that. So sometimes if the camera angles are a little off, that's probably what it's about. This is a car that I'm not too excited to be working on. Customer's concern is that the low beams keep going out. And the customer story was just kind of all over the place with how many times they've been changing these bulbs because we just keep hearing, I just keep changing them. I was like, that's not helpful. Like, are we talking about you change them every month? Are we saying you change them once a year? What's going on? Can you just calm down and help me out? And the person's just not giving us anything. And I just laid it out and I said, listen, I'm only asking these questions and being very intrusive about this interval of replacing things because the less information you give me, the potentially more expensive this diagnostic could be because I have to go and validate things. So if you're going to make me herd cats and go on a wild goose chase, if you want me to go on a snipe hunt, I'm going to bill you for it. So if you're saying you put 10 light bulbs in this car over the course of 10 years, that's a big deal. So I need to know, are you exaggerating or not? And so I left my advisor with the situation and I said, you figure it out. You let me know what the customer wants to do, because if they're adamant that this thing is blowing 10 bulbs in a year, then I'm going to ask for 2 hours of labor to pull the bumper, pull the headlamps, and test the circuits, and do an alternator test, do battery tests, and just check all the stuff. I was like, I'm just going to run a full workup of the system, and it's going to be 2 hours. The solution that I gave to the customer at the time as an out, because I try to make this stuff minimal to benefit the customer, is I said, okay, so I said it just like this way. It says, sounds like, I says, Sounds like you're unsure, and that's okay. I don't keep track of these things too. So how about we just put known good OEM bulbs into the headlamp assemblies on both sides, and when one of them goes, we'll assess the situation there. That was the most logical way to do it, and that's the cheapest way out because that would have been $80 to install two low beam bulbs. And I'm sorry if that sounds expensive, but putting low beam bulbs in these headlamp assemblies, they're not accessible through the engine bay. So you either have to pull the bumper and pull the headlamp assembly out, or you have to um, take down some of the fender liner and shove your hand up in there and work it in that way. So there's some labor. There's some labor because these are only like $15 a piece. So you're looking at $30 in parts and $50 in labor. I really wish the customer would have taken that out. I asked them twice, pretty please. I even waited another day and asked, "Are you sure? Because what you want me to do is going to be expensive." And yeah, so that's where we're at right now. So if anybody thinks that this is shisty, man, I really try to talk this customer out of it because I could foresee that this was going to be a no-win situation. See here. Have I ever worked on EcoBoost engines? Yeah, plenty of times. They're pretty easy to work on. Have I ever worked on semi trucks? No, no, I haven't worked on them. I'm going to give credit to people who work on semi trucks. That is a different breed of mechanic. Yes, they all run on some sort of fuel, but a lot bigger tools, a lot bigger understanding of suspensions and frames. Semi truck mechanics are some pretty smart characters because you have a lot more influencers to think about. Wandering eye says this car's jacked up. Yeah, pretty much. The driver's side has had a whack on the front quarter panel. I already took the bumper off and I already took the headlights off because I just wanted easy access to this electrical system. I want to see what I'm doing so I can show you what I'm doing. Uh, do we really need to change the wet belt every 6 years on the EcoBoost? Shouldn't be by year, man. It should be by mileage. Okay. Let me see if I can find some quick reference material. Yeah, just as I thought. Okay, so that wet belt is a recommended replacement for preventative maintenance of 10 years, 100,000 miles. Okay? Unless you're in an environment where the wear in of that could just be exceptionally more. Um, if you were buying an EcoBoost that just had really crappy oil change intervals, then yeah, that could be it too. But yeah, the death of that wet belt is just from people doing really bad oil change intervals, running the cars into the ground. I've worked on some of those EcoBoosts with the wet belts, and they've had, in the course of 100,000 miles, 5 oil changes. 5. It's just ridiculous. Nonetheless, let's get some tooling out here. This is going to be a big electrical day. This session is just basically going to be all about validation. We're just going to validate that certain circuits are working a certain way. Um, I think everything that I'm going to be doing today is going to be straight up overkill. But this is specifically what I was told to do by the customer. Customer did not want to hear it any other way. Test everything. This is a ridiculous problem. I shouldn't have to deal with this. Valid points, but whatever. Get my lab scope set up here, 4-channel scope. If you didn't hear my original rant in this situation, we are just working on a light bulb system. Left and right side left light bulbs. Customer's concern is they don't like, they're very upset that these light bulbs go out so frequently. And I'm swearing up and down that the customer is exaggerating with the number of light bulbs they're putting in their vehicle. If somebody says you're putting in 10 light bulbs a year, that is pretty exaggerated in my opinion. My response to that was, who's been working on your car, where you've been taking it, try to get some information, wasn't going to happen. So to give the customer an easy out, so I wouldn't be giving them a ridiculous quote for something that probably wasn't happening. As I said, if you don't know what bulbs you've been putting in, you don't know who's been putting in your bulb, like, come on, folks. If you're saying 10 bulbs a year and you can't remember who's been putting them in, is this a true story or not? You know, I get sometimes we exaggerate some stuff when we're angry. You know, we just start saying some just crazy things. So I wanted to give the customer time to just like backtrack on what they were saying, so I could get a clear answer here, get a more accurate answer, and assess the situation. They didn't want to take that opportunity. Some people are just that way. But realistically, what I wanted to do for the customer, and I explained twice over 2 days, because I wanted to give them time to calm down and absorb what I was talking about on the first day. So I said, I think the best solution right now, due to one, lack of specifics, two, unknown variables of who and where this car has been worked on, let's just put known good OEM bulbs in, because this is just some eBay trash in here. And that was another thing I was saying. I was like, you know, you're just getting some Joe Rando bulbs. Maybe it would be better if we just start with a known good situation. It's the cheapest route. When a bulb does go out within a year, come in, and then we will look at it. That sounded reasonable to me. So what I'm going to be doing here first is, let's check our charging system. All right, check our battery, check our alternator, make sure our voltages are good. We got voltage irregularities, and we got a problem. Xavier, what am I going to fix? I don't know if I'm going to fix anything, man. We're just going to be validating headlight circuits here. It's a total overkill diag that I tried to talk the customer out of, but they insisted I do this. Philly Towing, this is why the dealer takes so long to fix your car. I'm not too sure exactly what you're trying to insinuate there, sir or madam. As a dealer technician, I was properly explaining the situation to somebody on to address the concern in a most cost-efficient manner so that the customer would not get the feeling that they were being robbed. Because that was a position that I felt that I was going to get put in, where the customer was going to say that I was robbing them. No, I'm very educated in the way that I explain things. I put it in very simple terms so that they could comprehend it and they could digest the information. But again, they wanted it their way, not my way. And I've never seen this car, to be frank. I've never been here. Just drove in out of the blue. So we're gonna do what we can with the situation. Or find the short, which is probably in the switch, being it shorts out both bulbs. I didn't tell you it shorted out both bulbs, sir. Pull the schematic out and work on it. Dude, hey, slow down, okay? Listen, bulbs are working. Slow down. The bulbs are working. I have a customer story here that wasn't validated. We don't jump to conclusion in diagnostics. That's rule number one. You don't jump to conclusions. Okay? Now, listening to my customer, the story was very sketchy. Okay? I wasn't getting concise. I wasn't getting good facts out of the customer. She couldn't tell me where she took the car, who worked on the car, and how many intervals that these bulbs went out. I was getting different numbers every single time, which means that it was a hysterical conversation. I was de-escalating the situation. I came back to the customer to try and see if things that could be smoothed over, double check the information, see what's going on, and it just escalated again. The bulbs that I identified right away when I first looked at it, as I said, customer, you got some cheap eBay bulbs, okay? As you get what you pay for, let's put some known good bulbs in here that I will warranty if they fail. I will warranty. Let's start with a fresh look at the situation. Okay, this isn't old 90s cars. We don't want to just start throwing stuff at it. I don't throw parts at cars. I validate what it is. But this customer was just adamant. He says, this was their words exactly, I want a full shakedown on the electrical system. Sure thing. We can do that. She's like, I want my alternator tested, my batteries. I want all these tests done. That's money. Try to help them. Didn't want help, okay? So let me work through this process. This is a learning and sharing experience. If I go super fast, you guys don't see anything, you don't learn anything, okay? If you just want to play peanut gallery, I'm going to put you on mute. Okay. So, all right. So that was a hell of a distraction. Let's go ahead and get my probe set up here. I'm going to be using a amp clamp on my charging circuit here. Let's go ahead, set her up. What is the rating here? 1 millivolt equals 1 amp. So at 10 volts, signal level should be fine. I'm going to put this on the alternator charging wire. So I got a voltage probe on the battery positive terminal. I got a voltage probe on the alternator positive terminal. I'm running an amp clamp on there. Make sure all my test leads are clear. And let's see what we get. All right, so turning all my loads off. Let's see what's going on. Scales. All right, so my voltage scale between my alternator and my battery is looking really good. Amp clamp, however, let's change my scales again. $23 amps. Zero, check. All right, I like that. Gotta get rid of this trigger. Triggers. I don't want any triggers on. That looks better. And let's change our time and zoom out. So I'm at 500 microseconds. Let's get 5 seconds on the screen. Okay, I can live with this. Okay, I know the camera footage is going to be shoddy, but deal with it. This is YouTube's problem, not mine. I'm fighting with them on this. So basically, I like the DC voltage coming out of my alternator and going to my battery while it's at rest. I'm making sure that all my grounds are going to the battery ground, okay? I don't want to use any chassis grounds right now. We will be running a chassis ground check after this. Alternator output is doing a nice stable 20 amps. Don't see any exaggeration in there. That's very good. And this is with all the loads off. So I'm going to kick some loads on right now and bog down this alternator. High beams and blower motor on should be good enough. I don't want to put the wiper motors on because that's going to be constantly changing. I want something consistent, and what I'm looking at will be good enough. Need another set of test leads here. These are these going to be okay? Yeah, let's try these. All right, so I'm going to be putting an AC meter on my battery. I want to be looking for AC ripple. And perfect. First thing I'm doing with my leads is I always do a known good measurement. Okay. .0123. That's wait. Whoa, whoa. Come on, meter. Read AC. There we go. Okay, so I got. That's beautiful. 7 millivolts AC. I like that. That's just on the battery. Alternator changed to 60 amps. That's good. My alternator output is 14.4 and volts DC. My battery connection is reading 14.3, so I got a 10 millivolt drop on the line. That's okay. Nothing wrong there. Nothing significant. I can live with that. She can live with that. Okay, now I'm going to check the AC output all the way over here on the alternator, because when you're checking for AC ripple on the battery, you have to be aware that the battery can also absorb some of that AC ripple. And we're going to get a different number. So let's give it time to settle down. As I thought. Okay, cool. So AC ripple coming out is 0.019. That's good. All right, nothing excessive. I don't suspect we have any kind of a diode issue coming out of the alternator. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like on our scope. If you want to see AC ripple on a scope. Get a fourth channel set up here. Got a lot of connections going on, so I'm gonna have to just negotiate some things really quick. Perfect. All right, let's go ahead, change this probe, lead. Let's get off millivolts. Let's go 1 volt. Okay. Gonna exit my scope here, and I'm gonna have to go to graphing meter to do this. Volts AC, RMS. Okay, I can only use channel 1 and 2. Fair enough. Let's go ahead and put it on channel 1. Turn off channel 4. Channel 1. Let's zoom in the 200 millivolts, see how it looks. Very good. We got 1 minute of time on there. Let's zoom in a little bit. About 2 seconds, 5 seconds. That's some good information. Doing good. I'm not getting excessive AC spikes out of here. Everything's staying under 500 millivolts. This is fine. So far, I'm happy with the alternator. Keep in mind, though, we've just initially started the vehicle. If this alternator was exhibiting any problems, it might be exhibiting problems after a couple hours of being used, so it's super, super hot. Um, so in situations where I don't find any electrical anomalies, then that's where I would run a heat soak test on the alternator. Let the car idle outside for about an hour, come back and rerun this test and see how it's doing. I've had some alternators that just start whacking out after about an hour of just sitting idle. Yeah, Master says, yeah, $500 later, it's going to be eBay bulbs. I was literally just telling them, let's not do this. Let's not do it. Just running a thermal on the alternator, looking for any kind of abnormal hot spots. I don't see anything. Because I think I've said this already like 10 times. I said, customer, the best thing to do right now, because you have no history of anybody ever working on this, and I found eBay bulbs the cheapest solution to diagnose this concern. Let's just put known good OEM bulbs in your car and reassess the situation. That is the smartest thing to do, because then if they do fail within a year, we have a valid problem. If they make it a year, we're good. And keep in mind, if you're going like, oh my God, low beam bulbs don't last that long, well, it's because the low beam bulbs are being doubled as daytime running lights, and you can't shut down the DRL system. So I was also backpedaling on a conversation that this generation legacy, the 2010 through 2013, yes, there is a known issue with the low beam bulbs not lasting more than like 15 months. Some people get a couple years out of them. Some people get 3 years out of them, and some people end up having to replace them every single year. And Subaru said, if you have OEM bulbs in there, they will take care of you. So if your car has a known thing where it's just eating up low beam bulbs and they're OEM, they're taking care of it. Just come on and get new bulbs. That's how they want to deal with it. There's no solution to it. Some of you have already seen and said that Wally World battery needs to go. And they're with you. Eh, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink water. I'm not a fan of that, but to each their own. When I say something when I say something about a particular product and then the customer immediately says, well, why would they sell me that? That's when I walk away. It's if you can't, if you don't understand that there are cheaper versions of things out there on the market specifically for people who don't want to pay full value for something. I'm not even going to try and win that conversation. I'm just going to let it go. Be like, yeah, well, bye. Okay, so let's get these high beams off before I get cooked, because my pants are already getting sweaty standing in front of this car. Put our low beams on. I'm going to continue to do my tests with the car idling, okay? Because I want to try and look, I want to look at this situation as true to running operation as possible. If you guys are screaming something in the chat, I'll get to you in a second. I gotta focus and work, but I will drift in and out of your chat, okay? Gotta find out who took my Panomas. And I think I want to run a jumper wire for my battery ground to make this simple. It's an important lesson to understand when you're working on these quote-unquote circuit anomalies. We need to be using our battery ground connection as much as possible. I understand that the battery ground is hooked up to the chassis ground. You should be able to hook up anywhere. But if I have a compromised part of the chassis ground, it's going to give me bad results. And this headlight circuit is not using a chassis ground. It has its own indicated one. Don't you dare try and run an update while I'm using these, sir. All right. What you guys and gals are observing is just a self-discovery of how I look at it. I want one more test connector. I think that's what I want. Perfect. There we go. Okay. Good power there. Okay, I'm just looking at both sides of my low beam here. Easy, killer, easy. Good. Exactly what I want to see. So let me plug in another lead and show you exactly what I'm doing here. We're checking the voltage drop across our bulbs. Oh, and keep in mind too, like if you're buying stuff off the eBay, this is something that the customer wasn't wanting to understand. She's like, "Oh, your bulbs cost $15, but I buy them for 5." And I says, "Yeah, you're probably buying knockoff bulbs." And she didn't understand that. I says, "Like, I can put anything on eBay and I can claim that it is made by something. Like, there are so many fraudulent Chinese parts out there right now. Uh, I fixed one, somebody's Chevy. It's like a 2500 Silverado from like 2009. All kinds of problems with the engine running rough. And he was really upset when I was telling him, I was like, man, this really just sounds like, says, after I looked at your car, I said, you got bad injectors. He says, no way, it can't be. I just put 8 new injectors in there. It's not injectors. I says, well, then you got 8 really bad injectors. Asked him for the receipts of where he got them so I could look at them. And he says, well, he says, they're AC Delco. I got them off eBay. I says, dude, you got fake ones then. I says, because if you paid $80 for 8 fuel injectors, these are fake. Says, go to the dealership, go buy 8 brand new ones and go put them in. I guarantee your problem's fixed. Fought that left and right. Then I says, like, well, I don't want to work on your car. Goes to the dealership that day, gets 8 injectors, puts them in that night, comes back, and he's like, I feel stupid. I says, don't feel stupid, man. He's like, people are ripping you off on the internet. And so you should be mad at that eBay seller. There are fake AC Delco parts out there. All right, so I'm really happy with my light bulb. My light bulb is getting the correct amount of voltage. We're getting 13.6, just more than enough voltage. We're not getting any kind of erratic spikes. We are getting a full voltage drop across the light bulb, which is really good. Give her the old tap, tap, taparoo. Doing okay. Just gonna wiggle our harness, see if anything changes in our harness. Happy with this. No problems, right? No problems, no problems. Now, let's see how much current that light bulb's pulling. I will need a volunteer amp clamp. Where's the amp clamp that I like to use? I guess I'll use this one. Got a couple of other electrical jobs going on, so I'm spread between cars. Is it going to let me run an amp clamp on channel 3? Yes, it will. Okay. Make sure it's on. Oh yes, zero it out. We're gonna go around this red wire here. All right, let's go ahead. Backwards, so let's just fix that. Four and a half amps. That's correct. That bulb's pulling good voltage drop, good current. Yay! Let's go ahead and put in an OEM bulb and see what it looks like. Turn my light source off. Everything's de-energized correctly. No current draw. Try not to fry my hand as it's going to be really hot. Hot tamale. Let me get a red rag. These bulbs, they run hot, folks. They run hot. Yeah. Okay, this bulb says it is a Sylvania. It says it's 12 volts, 55 watt. Doesn't say anything else on it. You know where Sylvania bulbs should be manufactured? If you have a legit Sylvania bulb, it should say made in Germany. That's a fake bulb, folks. Secondly, is when you're putting in these bulbs, you don't want to touch this glass, okay? You need to wear some gloves because the oils that are on your fingers right here, I've seen these glass swell up, okay? Because it'll start cooking whatever's on there. This sucker, let me get my thermal imager out. I've already unplugged it. Let me show you how hot. Come on. There it goes. And I still can't even hold it with my bare hands. You guys see the screen? 250 degrees? That's hot. Factory, not factory. Customer wants all their parts back, so we're going to give them back their old parts. They're going to try and get their money back. That's okay. I respect it. Back up here. How's chat doing? Voltage drop on ground side. Hey, we're gonna get to that. See here, Mimi dude. Why would you be looking at a schematic? What would that accomplish? I pretty much know this headlight circuit by heart, and the majority of headlight circuits are built very much the same way. When you've been doing automotive electrical for long enough, you know all the basic wiring diagrams for window motors, headlights, wiper assemblies, defrosters. All right, so when this bulb initially turns on, looks like she peaked out at 10 amps, and then she's going to settle right at 4.7 amps. And I think that's when these bulbs do experience their problem, is that onrush current. Onrush current. I think that's what's triggering them to go out. We got the same voltage drop across this, looking just fine. I'm content. So let me just write down my notes here. It's very rare that I actually do find a problem in this generation of headlamp assembly. And it sucks to just tell somebody, live with this problem, but when the manufacturer's taking care of you on the problem, I don't see a problem with it. And if you don't have a dealer near you, you need to call your Subaru hotline. Okay, that's 1-800-SUBARU-FREE. If you have one of these vehicles and you're living with this problem, and there's no local dealership within a respectable driving distance, that's okay. They'll work something out with you, right? They're not jerks. There's been plenty of times where customers have been assisted with vehicle repairs when they can't get to a dealership. Right, so I'm going to be setting up the same test I did over there, over here, on the driver's side now. Reset my amp clamp. If I find anything wrong in the headlight circuit, I'm going to find it here on the driver's side, since this is got some cosmetic damage on her. And the possibility that something in the wiring loom got disturbed is most definitely going to be a problem. And if you think what I'm doing is just a lot of overkill, that's fine. It's a casual Saturday, not a lot to do, and I thought maybe I would do a little bit of overkill just for you guys to see. So, don't be offended. Let's get Ooh, I need these. I need these things right here. Sorry, trying to work around the camera. You guys are in the way. Guys and gals. Guys and gals are in the way. All right, so this driver side bulb, we got our power. Okay, I just got my Tesla switch. So we don't have any amperage draw on this low side bulb, but we got power. And it was working a second ago, so if I give her the tap, tap, taparoo, maybe she comes back to life. Nope. Ice cold, so it's been out for a little while. There's no heat from this bulb. Filament wire looks to be shot. If you're curious about how lighting systems can really screw with your car, you should check out one of my long format videos. I had a 2015 Forester in here. Customer had a plethora of LEDs in it, and it actually prevented his car from driving correctly. All right, onrush current, same thing. There we go. Okay, so I got a fresh new bulb in there. Happy with it. Okay, now we got our voltage drop. Very good. Ta-da! I see Xavier's up in here. What's going on, buddy? Is Phillips? Yeah, Phillips is the brand that our Asian cars like to use. Sir, when an electric car which run on electricity. Noobs is got a kind of a run-on sentence. Let me see if I can dissect it. Sir, when an electric car which run on electricity, does it have an engine? Like other car which run on oil? Because I had never seen one electric car in my life. I just want to know. Okay, so this is where I'm going to blow you away with terminology. So if you have a full electric vehicle, we call those EV, okay, electric vehicles, and they do not have engines in them. They have motors in them, okay? Um, engine is short for Old Greek, Old Latin, whatever you want to reference it to, for ingenious device. Engine used to be like an ingenious device, but we shorthand it to engine. So if you're running on petrol, gasoline, octane, kerosene, some sort of liquid fuel, you're running an engine, an internal combustion engine, ICE. If you're running a full electric vehicle, you have a motor, which means that you have stators and windings, like a little electric RC car. Hope that makes sense. No, I don't really, guys. I really don't think we have an electrical anomaly in here. I think this is just a customer who is not wanting to come to terms with reality that the manufacturer has addressed that this light bulb system here on this year, make and model of vehicle is a known concern, and they're giving away free light bulbs as long as you have OEM light bulbs in there. And from everything I've studied about this lighting circuit, because this was like a big problem years ago, but from everything I studied about this lighting circuit, it's really just the onrush current, which is wearing down the bulbs prematurely. It's the fact that the low beam bulbs, the DRLs, are, I'm sorry, the low beam bulbs double as a DRL. So the bulb's on all the time. That's why on our new headlight system, we have switched to a dedicated DRL bulb, which is a low current bulb. So the low beam is just pulling double duty. All right, I'm going to turn this car off now because those headlights are cooking me. And my lunch should almost be here. All right. These damn lights. I turned the lights off. Come on. I'm happy with everything on this car. Okay. Let's just do our last thing. And I want to still say set up on one channel, right? Now I want to use different test leads for this one. Because these test leads are garbage for this test. Amp clamps running out of battery. Ooh, didn't see that one coming. All right, let's go ahead and check our ground circuits now. All right, we're just looking at a lot of noise, don't you worry. Nothing. Nothing. Good. Let's get our low beams back on. Keep my test leads out of the engine bay for safety, please. Ground's hooked up. Perfect. Voltage drop on this ground is good. I'm happy with it. No problems here. All right, folks, let's check out chat, and we're going to call her a day. Xavier says, I can hear typewriters. Yeah, well, that's the auto mute on my microphone canceling out everybody's electric impacts. Yeah, I just diagnosed some old Subarus with LEDs in them. You'll figure. And yeah, some of our cars don't like LEDs. Yeah, so folks, we're going to be chalking this up with bad bulbs. Bad bulbs from a bad source. Be very, very careful where you're buying your parts from. When an online vendor, buy from a respectable online vendor that vets their sources. So if the price is too good to be true, that might be the situation. Okay, and that's what the situation was here. This was most likely a problem that was induced by somebody who was price shopping for the cheapest repairable parts. They went to the dealership. They said, oh, bulbs are 15, 20 bucks a piece. They went to a local auto parts store and said, oh my gosh, bulbs are $10, $15 a piece. And then they found bulbs on eBay for $5 shipped each. Come on, what do you think you're getting? Then this is a huge problem in the automotive market that's been plaguing us for like the last, well, 5, 7 years, is counterfeit name brand automotive parts. I kid you not. Okay, these bulbs say Sylvania on them. They have the same font, the same lettering, but they don't have enough of the verbiage written on them. They don't say where they're made. They don't have UL numbers on them. They just say Sylvania 50 watts. That's it. That's obviously a counterfeit bulb. And if you start going down the YouTube and the Google rabbit hole of counterfeit automotive parts, you're going to hear more and more horror stories of people wasting a lot of money. Okay? A lot of money. So that's why when I give you a quote and you're upset about the prices of parts, if you find something somewhere cheaper, you better make sure that that is coming from a vetted vendor. Okay? Vetted mean they're trustworthy, they got warranty, they're backing it up. Because there's a lot of online vendors that say, yeah, we got warranty. Okay, well, how do you file a claim with your warranty? Oh, call this 800 number. Just give it a ring. Call the 800 number, and then you get a busy dial tone. It's a disconnected line. I did that as a thought experiment for one customer because they were really mad that I was quoting them an $800 AC compressor. They found one on eBay for 200 bucks. They're going yappy about it, and I said, "Let me see this listing." Oh, lifetime warranty on that part, huh? I says, "How do you submit a claim?" So I don't know. It's got a lifetime warranty. I says, "Well," I says, "you better email that vendor. How do you submit a claim?" So he sends an eBay contact, just like the little contact me. How do I submit a warranty claim? No response. All right. 3 days later, he comes in. He says, "Hey, I finally got a response." He says, "I got Email them. I says, well, send a test message. I says, see if that's a legit email. I says, you're talking to a ghost. I says, I can open up an eBay store and say I got 1 year warrant, I got lifetime warranty on all my stuff. What are the consequences? Honestly, you could run an eBay store and not register it with the Better Business Bureau and say whatever the hell you want. And the only repercussions is eBay closes your store. Oh, big deal. You just get another account opened up. And that's what these Chinese vendors are doing. So, with that said, my sandwich is here. I'm going to get me some lunch. I'm going to shut this down. And you all have a fantastic day. Thank you for joining me. You've been a great bunch. Hope you learned something. Yeah, Jordan, BRZ. Yeah, there is a bulletin, and I showed it to the customer, and they didn't give a rat's ass. And we were willing to give them free bulbs if they would go away. This was a waste of customer money, 100% a waste of customer money. And nobody here, not even, like, we tried for 3 days to talk the customer out of it. And the customer was just so adamant that this test needed to be done to validate something. Like, what do you want us to validate on a 200,000 mile car that doesn't have a front bumper? Okay, we got busted panels all up in here, cars falling apart. Like, what are you holding on to? So I don't know. I'm gonna leave before I say something I regret. But thank you everyone for hanging out with me today. Cheers.